All right, welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell, of course, here. Thank you so much for tuning in. And joining me right now is AJ Allmendinger, the driver of the number 16 Chevrolet for Colleague Racing. What's up, AJ?
Ready to go. I mean, it's been a fun off season, and the opportunity to do this full time with Colleague Racing and back in the I shouldn't say back in the Xfinity Series. I've never been in the Xfinity Series full time, so to be able to do that and be ready to go, you know how it is before the start of the season. And teams worked hard and done everything that we can, and now we show up to Daytona, see what kind of speed we got.
Yeah, so of course you guys get practice today later on in the afternoon. You kind of were telling me what the plan is for the 16 team. What's the plan out there? What do you want to do out in practice?
I mean, I think really just make a couple of single car runs and make sure everything on the car is good. We'll have speed in these race cars. Everybody at Colleague Racing, they work hard in the off season to make sure our speedway program keeps getting better, even though it's been really good over the last couple of years, but keeps getting better. Got ECR motors, which we know will have a lot of speed here at Daytona. So I know our car will have speed. You just got to make sure, everything like it make sure like the toe and stuff's right, where the car's not moving around, just the fine little tuning things, and we'll be done, because we don't need to get in the pack really. I mean, you can learn a few things, but even in practice, unless you get all 40 cars to go out there at the same time, like the draft is, when you get like a 8 to 10 car draft, it's not the same compared to the race. So getting in a pack of cars isn't really important for us. We know our cars will have speed, so it's just making sure that we'll be good to go, because on the 16 car we got to qualify in, so we got to make sure everything's good for a single lap. So
kind of explain how, of course, you just said you had to qualify in. Now, if it rains, you were telling me you do not. You are in if it does get rained out. It's
NASCAR rules. I don't understand how they work, honestly. It's quite I don't get it. It is what it is. So I know for sure if qualifying's happening, we got to make sure that the Ellsworth Advisor Chevy is quick and in the show. If it rains, then I think we're in. But quite honestly, I don't understand how it works. But it's their sandbox, and we play in it, and we go by their rules.
Yeah. So, of course, what a year for Colleague Racing. Of course, Justin picking up some wins, you getting some wins as a part-time driver. Now you're full-time. What's it like to go from being part-time to doing this all season long?
Well, we might have to do this interview in about June. I'll let you know. Chris Rice, I have found out, is making me do every weekend, it sounds like at the beginning of the weekend, a picture with him, which is not a shocker if you know Chris, because he makes sure he takes a lot of photos. But I have to take a photo every weekend before the weekend starts to make sure that my attitude is still the same. So, because he said he's not going to let me get stressed out about it. So, I mean, it's going to be amazing. If I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't be doing this. They gave me an opportunity to run part-time again, but over the last 2 years, I've just truly enjoyed the race team at the racetrack, away from the racetrack. It's a lot of fun, and being around Matt Colleague, especially, it's hard to really put into words, because every team I've been on, I mean, I've enjoyed it, and it's a lot of fun with the men and women that work at those race teams, but it's just a little bit different atmosphere here. I think it's about that everybody's in it together. There's no pointing fingers. We know that whether it's a great weekend or a bad weekend, that we're working together as a whole to make sure that we're the best team that we can be. And that's what we've done over the last, really from the start of when I've watched this team start from scratch until now. But, yeah, I mean, it's just been a process about going out there and trying to be better every weekend and every year. And, that's my goal. It's the same thing. Of course, the ultimate goal is to win the championship, but there's a 33-week process to get to that point, and we're going to try to enjoy every moment of it.
So it looks like when we go to these super speedways, Colleague has kind of been dominant at at the super speedways in the last few years, particularly your teammate Justin Haley. But Junior Motorsports has been the dominant team in the season opening race because they've won, I think, the last 3 or 4 years. So it looks like the Chevy camp is usually pretty strong when it comes to the Xfinity series on the super speedways. What kind of going talking with Justin and of course your new teammate Jeb? What's that been like to get all this super speedway stuff going?
It starts with fast cars, and that's especially at any racetrack that you go to, but especially these super speedway races. If you don't have a group of fast cars, you can't dictate the race. And I think that's where college racing, especially really in the 2 years that I've been a part of it, with doing these races where we either have 2 or most of the time we've had 3 cars in the field. I think that's where we've been really strong, is working as a team, trying to get all 3 cars up front and then dictating the race. And Justin's been amazing at it at the end of the race to make stuff happen and win the race. But it all starts because we work together. And when you have 3 fast Chevrolets like we have, it makes it easier to get up front and start dictating the race. And then from there, at the end, you just try to be smart about it. We're all in it to try to make sure that, we win the race. And, myself, Jeb, and Justin wants to win the race just as much as the next person. But we got to be smart about it. And the ultimate goal is to make sure one of the college Chevys are in victory lane, and we've done a great job about that.
Speaking of college Chevys, you're going to be driving one. You're going to be pulling double duty next week, and you're going to be driving on the road course for not just the Xfinity Series, but the Cup Series as well. How exciting is it to go back in the Cup Series again?
I'm pumped up about it. It's I've always loved Cup racing, and especially on the road courses. And I think with the aero package that NASCAR has for it, where it's the low down for 750 horsepower, it's really enjoyable. So, Kaz Gralla, we as a team, it was tight last night, making sure that car got in, but everything worked out, and College Racing did a great job to make sure that we had the speed to go out there and qualify far enough up there that if something happened and to have a little luck that way. But, Kaz did a great job. The accident that happened had nothing to do with him. So I think he's going to be really strong in the 500, but, by him getting in, it gave us I'm fairly sure, I'm not going to say 100% positive, because once again, it's NASCAR. I'm not sure how it all works, but I'm fairly positive that we're in the race next week. And yeah, from there, we'll focus on it. We've already been focusing on sim work and everything, getting the car ready, but we'll put that attention to detail once we get to Daytona next week and start focusing on the road course. But it's going to be a lot of fun.
Are you still a TV commentator?
I think so. I was at the Rolex 24-hour race, so the NBC Sports has allowed me to do this full time, and I understood if they didn't want me to be a part of their side of it, since I couldn't put that much time into it. But I'm still part of the IMSA side of it as much as I can be. I'm not sure what that schedule looks like right now. I kind of looked at it. I think it's 4 or 5 races that I can do. I also told NBC Sports on the second half of the NASCAR season that if they need me after the Xfinity race to stay for the Cup race and do some TV stuff, I'm for sure would love to do that. So yeah, it's I went from part-time to 2 jobs now, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that all works. And one more thing, kind of going back a few weeks ago, overall, your impressions of Rolex. How do you think it went for you overall?
Well, I felt like Meyer Shank Racing and the whole team did a fantastic job. It's a brand new car, and we had 0 issues, legitimately, from the first test in December all the way through the 24-hour race. There was no issues in the sense of mechanical failures, stuff falling off the race car. Everything went fairly smooth. Now, we just didn't have the speed, unfortunately. We missed the setup. I felt like the Cadillacs were probably the quickest cars overall, but the 10 team, the Wayne Taylor Racing team, they did a fantastic job, and they had enough speed that they got up front, and all their drivers did great to make sure that they stayed up front, and when they got up there, it was tough to pass them. So it showed that the Acuras had speed. I don't know. It was disappointing, to finish fourth and have no issues to start the year. That's not anything to be completely upset about, but it was disappointing on our end. We thought we would have been closer to having a shot to win the race, but it happened. I thought Rolex as a whole was fantastic, though. I mean, what great racing throughout all the classes. So probably couldn't ask for much more to start the season for IMSA.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the IMSA series is going to be fun to watch. But anyway, thank you, AJ, for taking some time out of your Friday to join us. And we'll see you on the track for practice. And hopefully we'll see you in the race tomorrow.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.